Welcome to Biff's Mystery Theater. I have many tales to tell you. Ghost stories, murder stories, and tales that will make your bones chill. Join me, won't you? For Theater of the Mind, where you always have the best seat in the house. Now close your eyes and turn off the lights.
The Mysterious Traveler.
This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join him on another journey into the realm of the strange and terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves. Where are we going? We're going to journey to the grave and learn the secrets of the dead in a tale titled The Accusing Corpse. Some years ago, when I was a county coroner, I was called in on a most interesting case. A case which had begun in the country home of Philip Drake, the wealthy stockbroker.
Roger, thank goodness you were able to get here in time.
I left town right after I received your call. What's wrong, Philip? You sounded so upset over the phone.
It's Vivian. She's upstairs in her room packing. She says she's leaving me.
Leaving you? Why?
She seems to feel our marriage has been a mistake. Roger, won't you speak to her? Persuade her to stay. After all, she is your sister.
I'm afraid, Philip, that Vivian and I have never been as close as sister and brother should be. She's always been wild and spoiled. Perhaps, Philip, it would be better if you were to let her go.
No, I couldn't do that. I love her, Roger. I wouldn't want to live without her. Won't you please try to persuade her to stay?
All right, Philip. I'll do my best. But I must warn you, I haven't much influence over her.
Philip, I'm all packed and ready to... Why, Roger, darling, what a surprise. What are you doing here?
Vivian, Philip has told me. Now, surely you can't be serious. You know how he loves you, everything he's done to make you happy.
Now, Roger, you aren't going to start on that, are you?
Someday, Vivian, you'll get just what you deserve for walking over people, breaking their hearts. Every time I think of you being my sister, I feel
Roger,
like
please. Would you mind waiting in the other room? I'd like to speak to Vivian alone.
Oh, all right, Philip. But call me when you want me.
Really, Philip, no matter what you have to say, you're just wasting your time.
Oh, Vivian, how can you do this to me? You know I love you, that I'd do anything to make you happy.
That's sweet of you, dear. Would you mind lending me your car to get to town?
If you leave me, Vivian, you won't get a cent. Not a cent, do you hear?
Really? Did you ever stop to think, Philip, that there might be another man with more money than you?
Another man? Oh, no, there couldn't be.
And why not?
But we've only been married 3 months. There couldn't be anyone in that time.
Oh, but there was.
Oh, Vivian, in spite of what you've done, I'm willing to forgive you and start over with you.
But, darling, I don't want you to forgive me. I want you to forget me.
Vivian, you can't do this to me. I love you. I won't let you go.
I really must be saying goodbye now. He's waiting for me in town, and I don't want to be late.
If I can't have you, no one else will, do you hear?
Oh, really, Philip, you're being ridiculous. I must go.
No.
Philip, what are you doing? A gun.
Yes, Vivian, a gun. I told you if I couldn't have you, no one else would.
Oh, Philip, you're insane. Put that gun down.
If you don't change your mind about leaving, I'll kill you.
Even with that gun, you can't keep me, do you hear? I'd sooner die than go on living with you. I'm going. And you're not going to stop. Oh, you shot me.
Vivian.
Philip, what happened? I thought I heard... Vivian.
Roger, is she dead?
Yes. Philip, do you know what this may mean? Life imprisonment, perhaps. Even the electric chair.
I know. Nothing seems to matter now.
But you simply can't throw your life away like that, Philip. Oh, even if Vivian was my sister, I don't mind telling you that I always felt you were far too good for her. She didn't deserve to be your wife.
Oh, please, Roger.
Now, look, Philip, if we were to get rid of the body, who could possibly know that she didn't leave here tonight as she'd planned?
No, it wouldn't work, Roger. You can't get away with murder.
That's nonsense, Philip. Now, if we were to bury her in the woods, no one would ever find the body.
Bury her in the woods? I couldn't do that.
Well, then I'll do it. You can wait here till I return.
But, Roger, what if...
Philip, you must let me handle this. You better give me the gun.
All right, Roger. You are.
Good. Now, you wait here while I get rid of the body.
Philip watched, spellbound, unable to say a word, as Roger picked up the body and left the room. As Roger, carrying his burden past the gardener's shed, he picked up a shovel. In a few moments, he reached the woods which began at the rear of the house and extended for miles. He carefully made his way through the forest underbrush until he was well out of sight of the house. Then he stopped and looked about.
I think this is quite far enough.
I think you can put me down now, Roger. I'm tired of being carried like a sack of potatoes.
All right. Well, let me congratulate you on your performance as a corpse.
Do you think he suspects anything?
Of course he doesn't. He's positive that he shot and killed you.
You've got the gun, haven't you?
Well, certainly I've got it. You don't think I was going to let him discover that the bullets had been removed and blank cartridges substituted, do you?
Oh, no. Not you, Roger. You always know what you're doing.
I always try to, my dear sister.
You don't think Philip will give you any trouble, do you? Outside of being in love with me, he isn't an utter fool.
Don't worry, I can handle Philip. Now, here's the key to the apartment I rented in town. You'll find my car a quarter of a mile down the road.
All right. I'll be waiting for you at the apartment.
I'll be there in a few hours. Now, let me see. Yes, this seems like a nice place to dig.
The next morning, Roger called on Philip at his office. With a calculating glance, he noted that Philip's eyes were bloodshot, that his hand trembled as the two shook hands.
How are you, Philip?
I couldn't sleep at all last night. I kept thinking of Vivian. And what if her disappearance is noticed? People begin asking questions.
Now, all you have to do is tell them that Vivian left you and you don't know where she is. Or things like that happen every day.
You've been very helpful to me, Roger. If ever I get a chance to repay you for it, rest assured I will.
That's very good of you, Philip. Truth of the matter is, you could do me a favor if you would.
Of course. What is it?
Well, I'm in the midst of a business deal, and I find myself a little short of capital. If you could lend me some money, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, certainly, Roger. How much do you need?
20,000.
20,000? That's quite a lot.
Naturally, Philip, if you feel you can't lend it to me, I'll go to a bank and try to borrow
it. It isn't that I can't lend it to you, Roger. It's just that the amount surprised me. Shall I make the check out to you?
Yes, if you please.
All right.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate this, Philip.
As Philip wrote out a check for $20,000, Roger smiled. Things were working out just as he had planned. An hour later, Roger entered an old brownstone house and went to apartment 2C.
Roger, did you get it?
What does this look like?
Oh, Roger, that's wonderful. Now we can clear out and... Why, there isn't 100,000 here.
No, my dear. I only got 20,000 from him.
But we were after 100,000. Why didn't you get it all this morning when you saw him?
My dear Vivian, it simply isn't done that way. Blackmail is an art that calls for the use of psychology. Philip will give us many times over the money I hold in my hand, all in due time, of course.
You mean I'll have to go on hiding in this miserable apartment until you finished your little game with him? never being able to leave it for fear someone will recognize me.
Come now, Vivian. You've got the radio and books
I
and
won't
other-
spend weeks in this apartment, I tell you. I won't. My arm!
You'll do exactly as I say, Vivian. Exactly. Do you understand?
Roger, my arm. You're hurting me.
It's nothing to what I'll do if you disobey me. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, yes.
A week passed. A week in which Roger patiently bided his time. For time, he knew, was working on his side against Philip. Then one morning he called on Philip at his office.
Good morning, Philip. How are you?
How do you expect me to be? This past week I've been able to think of nothing but Vivian and what happened that night.
Philip, you must stop brooding over it. Whatever happened was her fault, not yours.
Yes, you're right. Perhaps what I need is a vacation.
Yes, of course. A trip would do you a world of good. And if I could afford it, I'd go along with you.
You mean you haven't any money?
I'm afraid not, Philip. That's what I've come to see you about. I must have $40,000 at once.
40,000?
Yes, I know it's a good deal of money, Philip, but without it, I'll be ruined.
Well, naturally, I want to help you, Roger, but 40,000?
If I don't get the 40,000, Philip, it may mean prison for me. Now, you wouldn't want to see that happen, would you?
Well, of course not, Roger,
Well,
but...
After all, Philip, I saved you from prison. In fact, I made myself an accomplice to Vivian's murder by not turning you over to the police.
Well, yes, I know,
Now,
but...
you could hardly expect me to remain loyal to you if you weren't willing to help me, could you?
I see. It seems I haven't any choice. Very well, Roger. I'll write you out a check.
Roger's eyes gleamed in amusement as he accepted the check from Philip. There was no longer any doubt that Philip understood him perfectly. Things were working out exactly as he had planned. Later that day, Roger went back to the old brownstone house. There was a smile on his lips as he entered apartment 2C.
Look at this. $40,000 in cash.
Oh, Roger.
Now, wasn't this worth staying in hiding for, Vivian? And there's plenty more where this came from. Who could that be? You better get behind that screen.
No. All right, Roger.
Yes?
COD for Miss Brown. It amounts to $64.
Oh, you must be mistaken. There's no Miss Brown here.
This is the address she gave. It's in care of Mr. Roger Martinson. That your name?
Why, yes, but I don't know any...
Those packages are for me, Roger. How much did you say the COD was?
$64, miss.
Oh. Here you are.
Thank you, miss. Here's your receipt. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
When did you buy those clothes?
This morning?
You mean you went out shopping in spite of what I told you?
Well, I was sick of being cooped up in this apartment day and night. I had to do something for a change.
And what of my plans? You risked everything with so much at stake.
Roger, stop looking at me like that. I tell you, I couldn't stand being cooped up in this apartment any longer.
But I gave you orders to stay here.
Well, I won't. I want you to get the rest of the money at once so we can clear out. And if you don't, I'll go shopping whenever I feel like it. You can't make me stay here.
You'll do exactly as I say, Vivian. I won't allow anything or anyone to interfere with my plans. I've worked out every step perfectly, and there isn't going to be any slip-up.
Another week passed, a week in which Roger made no effort to see Philip. Then early one evening, he got into his car and drove out of the city to Philip's home in the country.
Oh, it's you, Roger. Come in.
Good evening, Philip. Oh, where are the servants?
This is their night off.
Oh. You're not looking well at all, Philip. You shouldn't remain in this house by yourself.
What difference does it make where I am? Wherever I go, the memory of that night follows. It's hard to believe that it was only 2 weeks ago tonight that I killed her.
2 weeks ago tonight. Why, so it was. Oh, by the way, Philip, do you think you might possibly lend me $60,000?
60,000? You can't be serious.
Oh, but I am.
But I lent you that much already.
Yes, I know, but I must have more.
No. I won't give you another cent. You blackmailed me enough.
Blackmail is a harsh word, Philip.
What else can you call it? Now, you're just as hard and grasping as Vivian was.
Yes, but you must remember I'm alive and she isn't.
I suppose you're glad she's dead. In life, she was worth nothing to you. In death, you're able to get $60,000 for her. In death? How do I know she is dead?
Don't be foolish, Philip. You saw her lying on the floor in this very room.
Yes, but how do I know she's dead? It was you who examined her and told me so. And you buried the body by yourself.
Well, I just wanted to spare you, Philip.
Just exactly where did you bury Vivian? As a matter of fact, how do I know the whole affair isn't staged for my special benefit, so that you can extort money from me?
Oh, surely you don't believe that, Philip. Why, you shot her with your own gun.
Yes, and you took the gun away from me immediately after the shooting. Suddenly, that whole affair is becoming very clear to me.
I tell you, she's dead, Philip, and buried out in the woods.
Then I want to see the grave and the body you say is in it.
But this is ridiculous. I won't go searching for a grave in the middle of the night.
You shouldn't have to search for it, Roger. Not if you really dug one. Come along. We can pick up a shovel at the tool shed.
I won't do it.
I said come along, Roger.
Oh, very well. But I'm not certain I'll be able to find the grave. After all, the woods is fairly large, and it's been 2 weeks since I buried her.
That's all right, Roger. We'll stay out there until you do find her.
A few minutes later, Philip and Roger picked up the shovel at the tool shed and then continued on their way to the woods that began at the rear of the house. Neither of the men spoke as they entered the woods, Roger leading the way with a flashlight. Several times he stopped, trying to get his bearings, then plunged on again, hoping to find a familiar landmark. It became apparent that Roger was growing less and less sure of himself.
Oh, the grave is someplace around here. I'm certain of it. Perhaps we ought to come back in the daytime. It might be easier to find it then.
I know, Roger. You shouldn't have any trouble finding it now, if it exists.
It does exist, I tell you. It's just that the woods are so confusing at night. Everything looks so different.
Just keep on searching, Roger.
Well, perhaps this is the spot. It looks something like it.
Well, is it or isn't it?
I don't know. It looks like the place where I buried her, and yet I'm not certain.
There's only one way to make certain, and that's to start digging. Here's the shovel.
But suppose this isn't the spot.
Then we'll dig somewhere else. In fact, we'll dig up the entire woods if necessary. After all, you're certain she is buried in the woods, aren't you? Go ahead, Roger. Start digging.
Oh, very well.
Well, Roger, you've been digging for 20 minutes now, and you haven't uncovered a body.
Philip, I told you I wasn't sure this was the spot where I buried her.
You're a great actor, Roger. But I'm afraid this time you've overplayed your role.
What do you mean?
Vivian isn't dead, and there's no use your pretending she is. Everything that's happened was part of a scheme the two of you planned to extort money from me.
I tell you she is dead.
Then where's the body?
I thought this was the spot, but I must be mistaken. I'm sure I didn't bury her any deeper than this, but if I... Philip, turn the flashlight this way.
What is it?
Look. Do you see what I've uncovered?
A hand?
Yes. This is the spot where I buried her, Philip. Just a few more shovelfuls and I'll have her uncovered.
No. Oh, it can't be.
There. There you are, Philip. Of course, she's been in the ground for 2 weeks, but I think you can easily recognize that it's Vivian.
Yes, it's Vivian.
And look, Philip, here's the bullet hole under her heart. The bullet hole that you made.
I don't want to see any more. I've had enough.
You should trust me a little more, Philip. Everything I did was for your own good. After all, you don't want to go to the electric chair, do you?
I don't care what happens anymore. I can't stand having her death on my conscience any longer. I'm going to call the police.
Don't be a fool, Philip. You know it might well mean the electric chair.
I'll take my chances. Anything's better than going on living the way I have these past 2 weeks. I'm going back to the house and call the police.
Philip, come back, Philip!
Operator!
Philip, wait, don't do anything foolish.
You cut me off. Take your hands off that phone, Roger.
All I want you to do, Philip, is to listen to me for a few minutes. At the end of that time, you may do as you please. Now, that's fair enough, isn't it?
Nothing you can say will make me change my mind about calling the
Now,
police.
listen to me first. Then if you still want to call the police, you can. Now, please put the receiver down, Philip. Yeah, that's it.
Well, what do you want to tell me?
Well, do you mind if I mix myself a drink first? It's been a rather difficult evening.
Very well.
Oh, what about one for you, Philip? You look as though you could stand a drink.
No, thank you.
Oh, nonsense. It'll do you good.
What is it you want to say to me, Roger?
Huh? Oh, yes. Say to you. Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Here's your drink, Philip.
Thank you.
Well, now, what shall we drink to? We'll drink to your good luck, come what may. There. I feel a good deal better.
All right. Now that we've had our drinks, what have you got to say?
Oh, yes. What I wanted to say was I never let anything interfere with my plans, Philip.
What do you mean by that?
Simply that I can't allow you to go to the police, and therefore you shan't. It would spoil my plans.
Oh, it would it? Well, I'd like to see you stop me.
I have, Philip. In a very little while, in fact, in just a few seconds, you'll be dead.
Dead? What are you saying?
Yes, Philip. The drink I mixed for you was poisoned.
Poison?
Aren't you finding that it's becoming difficult to breathe?
Oh, no. You couldn't have. My throat. It burns.
Yes, I know, Philip, but it'll all be over in a matter of seconds.
Now, I see it all. You murdered her.
Yes, Philip. Just a week ago tonight. She died according to plan.
I'll call the police. Joe.
I'm afraid, Philip, that you haven't the strength left to reach the telephone.
I will.
I'm afraid you and Vivian never had a chance, Philip. I had things worked out perfectly, down to the smallest detail. Hello, operator. Operator, please connect me with the police.
It was at this point that I was called into the case. Inspector Carlton called me an hour after Roger Martinson had phoned the police. When I arrived at the Drake mansion, I examined the body of Vivian Drake, then that of her husband, Philip. When I had finished my examination, I entered the library, where Inspector Carlton was questioning Roger Martinson.
Hello, Doc. Oh, Doc, this is Roger Martinson. Mr. Martinson, this is Dr. Smith, the county coroner.
How do you do?
Hello.
I'll be with you in a few minutes, Doc. Just stick around. Now, Mr. Martinson, you were telling me how you came to this house 2 weeks ago tonight to see your sister and found that she was gone.
Yes. Yes, my brother-in-law, Philip, told me that she'd gone on a vacation. Now, I thought it strange at the time that she should have gone away without saying goodbye to me, as we were always very close. But days passed, and I didn't hear from her.
Tell me, was it like your sister to go away and not write?
No, it wasn't, and that's what worried me so. These past 2 weeks, Philip kept putting me off when I inquired about Vivian's whereabouts. Well, tonight I couldn't stand it any longer. And I came to this house to have it out with him.
What did your brother-in-law say when he saw you?
Well, he was quite agitated at my unexpected arrival. When I couldn't get any satisfaction out of him regarding Vivian, I threatened to go to the police. Then he broke down and confessed that he murdered Vivian.
When did he murder her?
He told me that he'd done it 2 weeks ago tonight. Why, that was the very night I'd come here to see Vivian, and he told me that she'd left for a vacation.
I see. Go on.
Well, naturally, when he told me he'd murdered her, I was aghast. He led me to the woods and showed me the grave. We returned to the house, and before I knew what had happened, Philip had taken poison. Then I called the police.
Well, it seems like a plain case of murder and suicide. Outside of a few questions at the inquest, I don't think we'll trouble you anymore, Mr. Martinson.
That's quite all right, Inspector. I shall be at your service anytime.
Just a moment, Mr. Martinson.
Yes?
I was very much interested in hearing what you had to say to the inspector regarding the murder of your sister. You say that your brother-in-law confessed to murdering her 2 weeks ago tonight?
That's right.
That would be April 2nd, wouldn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
Then you never saw her alive after the night of April 2nd?
Why, no, of course not.
What are you getting at, Doc?
Please, Inspector. Mr. Martinson, would you mind telling me where you live?
At 425 West 107th Street.
Tell me, were some clothes delivered to that address in your care a week ago today, April 9th?
Clothes?
Yes. To be exact, a woman's sports suit, which cost $64 and arrived COD.
Why, no.
You're lying, Mr. Martinson. I have in my hand a slip of paper that not only proves that you're lying, but that will send you to the electric chair.
Doc, what are you saying?
Yes, Inspector. Mr. Martinson's plan was perfect, but he slipped up badly. He forgot to search Vivian Drake's clothing before he buried her. When I examined her body just now, I found in one of her pockets this receipted bill bearing the date April 9th. That proves beyond a doubt that she wasn't murdered by her husband on April 2nd, as Mr. Martinson here claims.
No.
Yes, Mr. Martinson, the corpse has accused you from the grave of murder and has given us proof of your guilt.
No, it can't be. I had everything planned perfectly. Perfectly, do you hear? Down to the last detail. I couldn't have failed.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Have you enjoyed our little trip to the grave? Poor Roger. What a pity. After all that planning and hard work, to be tripped up by a sail slip found on a corpse. It just goes to prove that you have to be more careful when you're burying people you've murdered. Now, I recall another case where a woman drugged her husband and... Oh, you're getting off at the next stop. I'm sorry. I hope you'll join me again soon. But if you do, please remember this. Next Sunday, I shall take a train that leaves at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Wartime. Don't forget, Sunday afternoon at 3:30.
You've just heard Chapter 20 of The Mysterious Traveler, a series of dramas of the strange and unusual, brought to you each week by station WOR. In tonight's program, The Accusing Corpse, Don Randolph played Roger. Also featured were Maurice Tarplin and Philip Clark. The Mysterious Traveler, written by Bob Arthur and David Cogan, is directed by Jock McGregor. Original music was played by Doc Whipple. Listen next week to a tale titled
Escape by Death.
Another Tale of the Mysterious Traveler. The Mysterious Traveler is presented by WOR Mutual every Sunday over most of these stations. But beginning next week, The Mysterious Traveler will be presented at a new time, Sunday afternoons at 3:30. Please note the change in time. 3:30 every Sunday afternoon, beginning next Sunday. This is Mutual.
The Mysterious Traveler.
This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can. Where are we going? We're going to join Charles Foster as he takes an excursion into crime. I call the story
The Case of Charles Foster. Late one evening several years ago, when I was practicing medicine in a large eastern city, I visited Charles Foster, a friend and patient of mine. I took with me Flush, a cocker spaniel he had entrusted to me.
Hello, Doctor. Glad you were able to come. I see you brought Flush. Hello, Flush, old boy.
He's missed you, Charles.
I've missed him too, Doctor. Been quite lonesome without him these past few months. Down, boy. It's a good dog.
How do you feel, Charles?
Oh, I'm all right, Doctor. You needn't worry about me.
I'm glad to hear that.
I suppose you've been quite puzzled about everything that's happened these past months.
Frankly, Charles, I have. Even now, I find it difficult to believe that you could...
Doctor, I'm going to tell you something that I've never told anyone. I thought I'd go to the grave with my secret, but, we've always been friends, and I'd like you to know the truth.
As you wish, Charles.
It's strange how little people know of one another. For 10 years, Agatha and I were married, and to the outside world, we were a happily married couple, but in the privacy of our home, I found life with Agatha a nightmare.
I never would have guessed that.
For 10 years, I stood her sharp tongue and constant nagging. I might have gone on taking it the rest of my life. Fate hadn't decreed otherwise. It was 3 years ago on a beautiful spring evening that fate stepped in to change the entire course of my life.
Is that you, Charles?
Yes, Agatha?
Did you remember to buy me some more of my cough medicine?
Yes, here it is. Supper ready?
Some men would be more interested in their wives' health than their own suppers.
I'm sorry, Agatha, but you really don't look sick to me.
That's because you don't care. I'm not well, and you know it. I work myself to death day in and day out, keeping this house clean. And little thanks do I get for it.
I've told you before, Agatha, if the house is too much for you, hire a maid.
And how exactly can we afford a maid on your miserable bookkeeper's salary?
Well, if you can't manage it out of my salary, there's always the $50,000 your father left you.
That money is mine, and I'm not spending a single cent of it. It's up to you to provide a maid.
All right, Agatha, please. Let's not quarrel. Oh, hello, Flush. How are you, old boy?
Oh, you care more about that dog than you do me.
You know that isn't true.
It is. Sometimes I think the only reason you come home is because of that dirty old dog.
Quiet,
Get away
Flush.
from me. All he does is eat and put his filthy paws on my furniture. I want you to get rid of that dog, Charles.
Get rid of him?
Yes. Buy some poison at the drugstore and dispose of him.
You can't stand to see me have anything that makes me happy, can you? Well, I'm not getting rid of him.
Charles, this is my house, not yours. And I don't want him here.
Come on, Flush.
Don't think that by walking away that ends the matter, Charles Foster. You'd better get rid of that dog, do you hear?
Glad to get out of the house, eh, old boy? So am I. It's a beautiful evening, isn't it? Come on, boy, we're going to take a long walk. You want to turn around and go home now, Flush? No, neither do I.
Pardon me, but aren't you Charles?
Julia! Julia Sanders!
Charles, I thought it was you.
Oh, let me look at you. Oh, Julia, you haven't changed a bit. You're as lovely as... How long has it been since we last saw each other?
10 years, almost 11.
Has it really been that long? Julia, have you ever forgiven me for what happened?
Of course, Charles.
I was so insanely in love with you, Julia, that I couldn't bear to have other men look at you. You know that I didn't mean...
I know,
to...
Charles.
I've thought of that night constantly. It's been like a nightmare ever since.
Please, Charles, it's all past and forgotten now.
You were perfectly justified in breaking our engagement. After what I'd done, there was nothing else you could do.
I understand you married Agatha Winthrop a year after I'd gone abroad.
Yes, Julia. After you left for Europe, people kept telling me what a wonderful wife Agatha would make me. I allowed myself to be convinced and married her.
Well, I'm sure everything turned out for the best.
But it didn't, Julia. Almost from the beginning, our marriage was a failure. For these past 5 years, Agatha and I have merely been living together under the same roof.
Oh, I'm sorry, Charles, that it didn't turn out well.
Nothing turned out well, Julia, after I lost you. I hope things have been better with you these past 11 years.
Oh, I can't complain. I spent a number of years in Paris studying art and working at dress designing.
Oh.
I only came back a few months ago.
You've never married?
No. I'm working now for Morgan's department store as their art director.
Oh, really? Well, my office is only a few blocks from there. Look, Julia, why don't we have lunch together tomorrow? There are so many things I'd like to know.
Well, I'd like to, Charles, but I think it would be much better that we don't.
Oh, now, surely, Julia, there's no harm in two old friends having lunch together, is there?
No, I suppose not.
I won't take no for an answer. Do you know where Drake's restaurant is?
Yes.
Will 1 o'clock tomorrow be all right?
Yes, that's my usual lunch hour.
Good, then it's a date. Strange, isn't it, Doctor? The way after 11 years, Julia and I bumped into each other. If we hadn't, what followed would never have happened.
It's such small things as an accidental meeting that often change the course of one's life.
Yes, I know that now, but I didn't then. I met Julia for lunch the next day, and soon we were having lunch together every day. And for the first time in years, life began to mean something. Merely seeing Julia for 1 hour a day made life worth living.
I understand, Charles.
We'd have lunch together, and then we'd go for a walk in the park. I sensed at the time that Julia, too, was lonely and in the need of friendship. The summer passed swiftly and happily. I should have realized that things couldn't go on that way, but I didn't.
You mean you fell in love with Julia?
Fell in love with her? I don't think I'd ever really stopped loving her. I became aware of how much I really cared for her one warm autumn day as we were walking through the park together. Julia.
Yes, Charles?
What about going to the theater with me tonight?
I wish you hadn't asked me, Charles.
Why?
Because it means we can't go on seeing each other anymore.
But why shouldn't we go on seeing each other?
Because you aren't satisfied any longer just to see me at lunch, and it isn't right for us to go out together at night.
But surely there's no harm in our going to the theater together.
You're married, Charles. That's reason enough.
All right, Julia. Forget I ever asked you. But at least we can go on having lunch together, can't we?
No, Charles.
Oh, but...
Can't you see? Things can never be the way they were. We've become dependent upon each other, and we have no right to be. We can't go on seeing each other any longer. It isn't fair to Agatha.
But you know that Agatha and I mean nothing to each other. We haven't for years.
Nevertheless, she's your wife.
Julia, you know I love you. I've always loved you, and I can't do without you.
Charles, you're just making it difficult for both of us.
Julia, you do love me, don't you?
Yes. But can't you see, it's no use. I remember Agatha only too well. She'd never give you a divorce.
I know she won't. I've asked her a dozen times in the past 5 years, but she said she'll never give me one.
I want to part now, Charles. Right here.
Must we?
Yes. Goodbye, Charles.
My life seemed to end that day, Doctor, with our parting. I went through the motions of living, but nothing seemed to matter any longer.
I can well understand that.
Well, months went by. Every day after work, I stayed in town, unable to face an evening at home with Agatha. When I did arrive home late at night, she'd be waiting for me.
Is that you, Charles?
Yes, Agatha. Sorry if I woke you.
Now, lot you care. Coming in night after night at all hours, leaving me alone in this big house. Oh, don't think I don't know what you're up to. I know you're kind, Charles Foster.
You better go to sleep, Agatha.
A fine chance I have to sleep with you putting on the bathroom light. You know I can't sleep when that light's on.
Take me a minute to brush my teeth, then I'll turn off the light. Agatha.
Well, what is it now?
What's this bottle of prussic acid doing in the medicine chest? That's a deadly poison.
I know that. I got it from Mrs. Smedley, the druggist's wife. She used it to get rid of an old cat they had. When I told her about Flush, she said it was a thing...
What's that about Flush?
I said Mrs. Smedley gave me that bottle of prussic acid so I could get rid of Flush. I'm going to put him out of his misery tomorrow.
You'll do no such thing, do you hear? If you so much as lay a hand on Flush, I'll kill you. I'll kill you, do you understand?
Yes,
Yes, Charles.
You get rid of that poison tomorrow. Let's have no more talk of putting Flush out of his misery. I lay awake for hours, Doctor, unable to fall asleep. Julia's breaking off with me and my wife's refusal to give me a divorce. The prussic acid she meant to poison Flush with had left me all worked up. Then Agatha began coughing. That cough she'd cultivated for years to give people the impression that she was an invalid. Well, after she'd coughed her usual 5 minutes or so, she got out of bed and started for the bathroom where she kept her cough medicine.
Oh! Drat that chair.
Why don't you turn on the light so you can see where you're going?
I can see perfectly well where I'm going. Besides, on your salary, we can't afford to waste electricity.
I knew there wasn't any use in saying anything more. For years, Agatha had gotten up every night and groped her way to the medicine chest where her cough medicine was. Nothing could make her change her habits. I lay in bed listening as she opened the medicine chest and fumbled in the corner where she always kept the bottle. As I heard her groping for her medicine, I suddenly thought of the bottle that was standing next to it. The bottle of prussic acid. Without thinking, it came to mind. If only she'd take the prussic acid instead of the cough medicine. If she did, I would be free. Free of her constant nagging and whining. Free to see Julia. Then I knew it was useless to hope for such a mistake to happen. Agatha's cough medicine always stood in the same corner of the medicine chest. Even in the dark, she'd never take the bottle of prussic acid. And then it came to me. What if the bottles were to be switched? What if the following night the prussic acid were placed in the customary spot of the cough medicine? Suddenly it was all very clear to me what I was going to do. Agatha?
Well?
Agatha, I've been thinking over what you said about Flush.
What?
I suppose you're right. Flush should be disposed of.
He certainly should. He's old and he's smelly. It'll be a blessing for him to be put out of his misery.
Yes, of course. I'm sorry I shouted at you before, Agatha, but, well, I see now that you're right.
When are you going to do it?
Oh, we'll wait until Saturday.
And none too soon, either.
You're sure the prussic acid won't make him suffer?
Nonsense. Of course it won't. Mrs. Smedley said nothing worked faster than prussic acid.
Oh, you told her what it was for. That's fine. Very well, Agatha. Just leave everything to me. The next night, Doctor, after Agatha was in bed, I quietly stole into the bathroom and opened the medicine chest. I compared the bottle of cough medicine with that of the prussic acid. They were both small bottles, almost identical in size. I removed the cough medicine from where it stood in the corner of the chest and replaced it with the poison. Then I went to bed and waited impatiently for Agatha to start coughing. Can I get you a glass of water or something, Agatha?
Oh, water won't do any good. What I need is my cough medicine. Oh, that's that chair.
Why don't you turn on the light?
Because I can see perfectly in the dark. Besides, someone's got to economize on the electricity in this house.
I lay there in the darkness, listening to her grumble as she opened the door of the medicine chest. The blood pounded in my ears as I heard her fumbling for the bottle. Would she feel the slight difference in the bottle when she picked it up? Scarcely able to breathe, I waited. Listened. And she fell to the floor. I quickly got out of bed, turned on the lights, and went into the bathroom. She was lying on the floor, quite dead. There was an agonized look on her face. I returned the bottle of cough medicine to its proper place, and then I phoned the police.
Now, you say, Mr. Foster, that your wife was in the habit of going every night to the medicine chest for a few drops of her cough medicine.
Yes, that's right.
And she never turned on the lights when she went to the medicine chest.
Oh, no, sir.
Wasn't that a bit unusual?
Well, I always used to tell her to turn on the lights, but she said it was a waste of electricity.
I see. And you say your wife, it was her who placed the bottle of prussic acid in the medicine chest next to her cough medicine, eh?
Yes, sir. I'd never touched the bottle of prussic acid. You see, it was my wife who procured it, and she...
Yes, Mr. Smedley, the druggist, has testified that his wife gave it to your wife. Mr. Foster, are you familiar with the contents of your wife's will dated 10 years ago?
Yes, I am.
Then you know, of course, that your wife left her entire estate to the Home for the Aged.
Home for the aged? Oh, yes. I fought to keep my face expressionless, to prevent him from learning that I hadn't known. All the years we'd been married, Agatha had given me to understand that all her money would go to me. Now I knew that she'd been lying. Her will had been made out in favor of the Home for the Aged for years. I began to feel angry at the way she'd cheated me. But a moment later, I was grateful that she had.
Frankly, Mr. Foster, your wife's death occurred under very suspicious circumstances, to say the least. For years, she'd gone to the medicine chest every night without mishap. And yet, on the second night that there was a bottle of prussic acid in the chest, she met her death. Were it not for the fact that your wife had left her entire estate to the Home for the Aged, I might be inclined to go further with this investigation. As it is, I'll instruct the coroner's jury to bring in a verdict of death through accident. That's all, Mr. Foster.
I walked out of the district attorney's office a free man. A few days later, I moved out of the house which had been Agatha's and took up quarters elsewhere. 6 long and uneventful months passed. I made no effort to contact Julia for fear that the police might still have their suspicions, and then I could stand it no longer. I called on her.
Charles, when I was told you were waiting to see me, I could hardly believe it. I'm so glad to see you again.
Thank you, Julia. It's good to see you again, too.
Charles, you don't look well at all.
These past few months have been something of a strain, Julia, but I'm all right now.
I was tempted so many times to get in touch with you. Then I thought perhaps you didn't want to see anyone.
I did want to see you, Julia, but I was afraid it wouldn't look right.
I understand, Charles.
Now, let's not say anything more of the past. Only the present and the future. Julia, do you think we might try to pick up where we left off last autumn?
We can try, Charles.
Julia and I, Doctor, began to see each other night after night. Life for me became exciting and wonderful the way it had been 11 years ago before Julia and I had broken our engagement.
Didn't you ever stop to think of what you'd done?
You mean Agatha?
Yes.
No, Doctor. They say that a murderer is ever haunted by his crime. But that isn't true. At least it wasn't in my case. To me, Agatha was part of another life in the dim past. I rarely thought of the past, only the present and the future. No, if I had any fears at all, it was the fear that something would spoil the happiness that Julia and I had found together. But nothing did. And a few months later, we were married, with you as my best man.
Yes, I remember.
My second marriage was everything that my first hadn't been. The first time in my life I knew what true happiness meant. Julia and I were poor, but that didn't matter, for we had each other. The months swiftly passed. And as our first anniversary approached, it was hard to believe that we'd been married almost a year.
Charles, before you leave for work, will you sign a check for me?
Oh, who's it for, dear?
Never you mind, Mr. Foster. You just leave a signed check. I'll fill in the amount and the party it's meant for.
Mrs. Foster, you're acting very mysterious.
Well, a wife has a right to act mysterious once a year.
Darling, I suspect you're going to use this check to buy me an anniversary present. Well, whatever you get me, please don't make it neckties.
Well, I'll have you know I have very good taste in neckties.
I know you do, dear, but I have to wear them.
You're an ungrateful wretch. Very well, I won't get you ties.
Good, then I'll sign the check for you. And please bear in mind that you can't make this check out for more than $312.50. That's all we have in the bank.
Oh, I'll leave you at least the 50 cents.
You'd better leave a good deal more. We won't be going up to Lake Ellis.
Charles, are we going up to Lake Ellis?
Oh, it slipped out. And I meant it as an anniversary surprise.
Oh, Charles, that's wonderful. When are we going?
This Friday afternoon. I've rented a cabin and a small motorboat on Lake Ellis for the weekend.
Oh, darling, what an exciting surprise. Charles, you're sure it won't be too expensive?
Why, nothing can be too expensive for our first anniversary.
Oh, darling, I've never been so happy.
This looks like a nice place to fish. Let's see, where'd I put that bait?
Here it is, dear.
Thanks, darling. Uh-huh. Here's a nice, fat, dimpled worm. Well, if you can't stand to see me bait him, just turn the other way. That's it. It'll only take me a minute.
Charles, look.
Yes, wait till I get this.
There's smoke coming out of the engine hatch.
What's that? Yes, you're right.
It's on fire. There are flames shooting out.
Fire extinguishers at the other end of the boat.
Charles, you'd never make it. You'd be burned.
Yes, you're right. Besides, even the extinguisher wouldn't do much good now. The fire's too big.
What are we going to do? Oh, the heat is becoming unbearable.
There's only one thing we can do, Julia. Let's go over the side.
We're almost in the center of the lake. I can't swim.
But I can, dear. I'll manage to keep us above water somehow.
Well, all right, darling. I'll do whatever you say.
We'll come through this, Julia. Now, don't be afraid. Now, I'll slip over the side of the boat first, and you follow.
All right.
Now, hurry, Julia. Let yourself down into the water. I'll keep you afloat.
Yes, Charles.
That's it. Now, let's go to the side of the boat. I have you.
Yes, Charles.
Now, don't be afraid, darling. You see, it's no trouble keeping you above water. Now, just relax, dear. While I swim with you a bit, we've got to get a good distance from the boat. It may explode.
Yes, Charles. Do you see any boats around?
No, but someone's bound to see the fire and come to our rescue. Until they do, we must have courage.
You're tired, aren't you, Charles?
No. Now, don't worry, dear. I can keep us afloat for a long time yet.
Oh, why doesn't someone come to our rescue?
They will. Someone must surely have seen that boat burning.
But Charles, we've been in the water so long.
Oh, it just seems long, darling. It can't be more than 10 minutes.
10 minutes? It feels more like... Charles!
I've got you, Julia. Just for a moment, you slipped away from me.
Oh, darling, it's no use. I'm just a millstone around your neck.
What are you saying?
Why should we both drown? Charles, save yourself.
Save myself?
Yes. I want you to let go of me.
Let go of you? No, never.
Yes, you must. You're too tired to keep me.
No, darling. Either we're both saved or we're both drowned.
Oh, I won't have you throw your life away. Let go of me.
Julia, stop trying to break loose. Julia, darling, don't. I can't live without you. Julia, stop struggling.
Save yourself.
Julia! She's gone. Help, my wife! My wife!
Yeah, we saw it all. Hey, Mike, he's passed out. Get him before he goes under.
I got him. Here, help me get him aboard, Skipper.
All right. Any sign of his wife?
She's gone, Skipper.
Yeah, too bad. Well, if it's the last thing I do, I aim to see justice done to this fella. She never had a chance. You see him shove her under? It was murder, that's what it was. Now, Mr. Foster, both of the men who rescued you claim that as they approached you and your late wife in their boat, they saw you struggling with her. You admit this?
Yes, but I tell you, I was trying to save her, not drown her.
No, you were trying to save her. But both the witnesses testified they saw you push her head under.
They're wrong. I wasn't pushing her under. I was trying to bring her to the surface. You must believe me.
Oh, Mr. Foster. You maintain that you were rescuing your wife, not drowning her.
Yes.
Is it true, Mr. Foster, that you were engaged to your wife 11 years ago and that she broke the engagement?
Yes, that's true.
Would you mind telling the jury why she broke the engagement?
We had a misunderstanding.
A misunderstanding? You call shooting the woman you're engaged to just a misunderstanding?
No. You must let me explain. It's true that 11 years ago I did shoot Julia, but I've been drinking. I didn't know what I was
doing. Mr. Foster, you do admit shooting and wounding her.
Yes.
Have you ever seen this before?
Why, yes. That's the insurance policy I took out for Julia and myself.
Exactly. And when was this policy taken out?
Well, about a month ago.
June 15th, to be exact. And what's the value of this policy, Mr. Foster?
Well, if either my wife or myself died, provided $10,000 for the survivor.
Yes, Mr. Foster. If either you or your wife died a natural death, it provided $10,000 to the survivor. But there's also a double indemnity clause in this policy, isn't there?
Yes, but
One that provides you with $20,000 if your wife died an accidental death, such as drowning.
Yes, that's true, but I swear I didn't drown my wife. I tell you, I was trying to save her. Save her, not drown her. You must believe me. You must. And that, Doctor, is exactly the way everything happened. Strange, isn't it? The way justice works itself out. I committed murder and escaped punishment. Now I'm paying with my life for the death of the one person I really loved.
It's time to go, Foster.
All right, Warden. Goodbye, Doctor. And take good care of Flush, will you?
Of course, Charles. Goodbye.
All right, Warden. I'm ready. Let's go.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Did you enjoy our little trip?
Too bad about Charles Foster, wasn't it? As he was strapped into the electric chair, there was an ironic smile on his lips, for he was being executed for something he had not done. But as Charles himself said, justice has a strange way of working itself out. I knew another man once who thought it would be a simple thing to dispose of his wife. Unfortunately, he... Oh, you're getting off here? I'm sorry. But perhaps we'll meet again soon. I take this same train every week at this time.
You have just heard Chapter 64 of The Mysterious Traveler, a series of dramas of the strange and the terrifying. In tonight's story, the case of Charles Foster, Humphrey Davis played Charles Foster, Nancy Sheridan played Julia, and Joan Shea played Agatha. The Mysterious Traveler is written by Bob Arthur and David Cogan, and original music is played by Henry Silverne. The entire production is under the direction of Jock McGregor. Listen next week to a tale titled
Blood Money.
Another tale of the Mysterious Traveler. The Mysterious Traveler is presented by WOR Mutual from the WOR Studios in New York. This is Mutual.
The Mysterious Traveler. This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, and it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can. For tonight, we're going on the strangest journey we've taken yet. We're going down into the dark and fearsome depths of the sea to watch fate settle her accounts with the arch enemy of mankind. In a story I call Death Comes for Adolf Hitler. My story begins in the radio room of the American destroyer Spindrift, on patrol duty somewhere in the Atlantic. It is late at night. Chief radio man Mike Williams, headphones over his ears, is checking on the dozens of messages whispering through the ether. Beside Mike His relief man, Joe Norman, is sitting back with his feet up, working a crossword puzzle and mournfully humming to himself.
I shall never go home. All the time I want to go to bed. A little quark.
Joe, cut it.
Huh? What is it, Mike?
Cut it, Joe, cut it. I'm getting something. You can just barely hear it.
Something for us, Joe?
Shh, wait. I'm getting it stronger now. There, it's clearer. Holy cow.
Hey, what is it?
It's a German sub. On the bottom and calling for help.
Ain't that something? Shall I notify the skipper?
No, nothing we can do. Must be hundreds of miles away. Get a pencil and put on those headphones. We'll take down the message, whatever it is.
Okay, I got a pencil here. I got the phones on, but... Are you kidding me? I can't hear a thing.
Of course I'm not kidding. I tell you, I had it just now, then it faded out. Wait a minute. It's coming back in again.
Hello? This is Oberleutnant Reiner, the undersea boat Wolf. Listen to me. Anybody who may be picking up this message, please listen to me. There's nothing anybody can do to help us, but please listen anyway. Makes it easier if I can talk. Easier to face what is coming. Because we are doomed. And we know it. Only yesterday afternoon, as we were cruising on the surface, recharging our batteries, we thought our mission was as good as accomplished. I was up on the conning tower with Captain Metz. With us was our passenger, our very special passenger who called himself Herr Schmidt. Of course, that was not his name, and we all know who he was.
A beautiful day, Herr Captain. Particularly gratifying after our long submersion. Yes, Your Excellency. Pardon me, Herr Schmidt. But we could take no chances on surfacing until we were safely past the area of Allied patrols. Of course not, Captain Metz. You must not take the slightest risk, as long as I am aboard. I am aware of that. Do not worry. You will reach your destination safely. I estimate that tomorrow midnight we will take our contact with the South American coast, and our journey will be over. Good. Understand, Herr Captain? No word of this trip must ever be breathed to the world, or yourself, or any other member of your crew. It is understood. You may rest assured. My crew is well trained. The world must not know or guess that back in the fatherland it is a devil who rules. We have lost, but I shall yet win. It would be disloyal of me to believe anything else, Herr Schmidt. South America, I will make my plans. The world will think me dead. Suicide on the day Germany falls. But instead, I will be safely hidden, so I can direct our rebirth. Quite so. Our enemies will yet feel the might of my vengeance. I will return to lead my people to victory, however long it may take. Of course, Herr Schmidt.
Lifeboat, 3 points off the starboard bow. Lifeboat, 3 points to starboard.
Pitching and tossing on the waves ahead of us was a lifeboat. It was crowded with gaunt-faced, bearded men who watched us pull alongside with hostile eyes. A dozen yards from them, Captain Metz ordered the engine stop. And then as our passenger looked on, with his cloak pulled up to conceal his face, Captain Metz questioned the men in the lifeboat.
You're in the lifeboat. Who is in charge?
I am. Blast your eyes.
What is your name? What ship? What cargo did you carry? What berth were you cleared for?
Captain Peter Jensen of the Mountain. Now at your service. We were a relief ship carrying food and medical supplies to Greece when one of your murdering undersea dogs torpedoed us.
That is all, Captain Jensen. You may pull away now. The nearest land is 300 miles due west of you.
I will pull away. Pull, men. Let's get where we can breathe air not contaminated by this scum.
And then, just as the lifeboat started to pull away, the wind unexpectedly whipped aside the cloak that our passenger was using to conceal his face. And in the lifeboat, Captain Peter Jensen, a burly giant of a man, recognized him.
Men, stop! Stop! You see that slinking rat in the ship of a man trying to hide his face? You know who that is? Take a good look at him so you can tell your children you've seen the murderer of mankind himself, the arch-devil who really gave the orders that sent our comrades to the bottom.
I fear hear you have been recognized, Herr Schmidt.
Stop them! Turn your guns on them! Destroy their boat, Herr Commandant! No one must leave the report having seen me!
Very well, Herr Schmidt. Forward guns, prepare to fire!
Forward gun, ready to fire!
Give them 2 rounds. Forward gun, fire!
Forward gun, fire! You filthy murdering dog! So you're going to murder us too! You there on the bridge, listen to me! Every one of us will be waiting for you when your time comes! All of us that you hounds and jackals have murdered, we'll be waiting for you, every one of us! We'll be waiting for you, and someday we'll get you! Remember that! Someday we'll get you! Fire!
They are gone? Yes, we have finished them. There will be no eyewitnesses to tell of seeing you aboard a submarine in these waters, Herr Schmidt.
It's good. World must never know that I have left Germany. Must never guess the whole future, the fatherland. What is that sound?
Bombers. Patrol bombers coming this way. Get below at once. We are going to submerge.
Bombs exploded, but far away. Patrol planes were too late. Captain Metz gave the necessary orders while our illustrious passenger looked on, his face pale, drops of sweat on his brow.
What is our depth now, Muller?
75 feet, sir.
Good. Then we should...
The bombs! They're coming closer!
No, they have lost us. They are bombing at random now. Yes, we are safe now. Depth, Muller.
90 feet, sir.
90 is good enough. Level her.
Level her, sir.
We will take course 180 and... Level her, I said. We are still making a 5-degree dive.
The leveling planes do not respond, sir.
We are damaged! The bombs have damaged us!
Impossible. Not one of those bombs was close enough to break an egg. Muller, our depth.
100 feet, sir.
Lieutenant Reiner, order half speed ahead.
Half speed ahead?
The ship's to hand operation of the diving plane.
Hand operation of the diving plane, sir.
Now level her.
Level her, sir.
Well, what's the matter?
Captain, the operating wheel. It will not turn.
Not turn?
The diving planes must be jammed, sir.
They will not move, not at all. Captain Metz, I demand that you rise to the surface. Something is wrong. Am I safe?
Silence. I am captain of this vessel, and I am giving the orders. Very well. Our leveling planes are jammed. We will surface and clear them. Miller, depth.
120 feet, sir.
Stop the engines.
Stop, engine.
Blow the forward ballast tanks.
Blow the forward ballast tanks, sir.
Now our bow is coming up. We are leveling off, sir. Hold as she is.
Hold as she is, sir.
Muller. How fast are we going up?
We are not rising at all, sir.
Not rising?
None.
With the motors off, we must be.
We should be. But we are still descending at about 20 feet a minute, Captain.
Captain, I demand to know what's wrong. I order you, take me to the surface.
I am just as interested in reaching the surface as you are, Herr Schmidt. Blow the main ballast tank until we start to rise.
Blow the main ballast tank until we start to rise.
For 1 hour we struggled to reach the surface, but without success. We still continued settling to the bottom. It was unreal, unbelievable, impossible. The crew stared at each other. They dared not speak their fears aloud. Our illustrious passenger raved and ranted at Captain Metz, screeching about his safety until Metz ordered him to his cabin under pain of being dragged there. We continued with our efforts to raise the submarine to the surface until abruptly Seaman Muller cried a warning.
Captain Metz, there are destroyers above us.
Destroyers? 2 of them.
I just picked them up on the phones. They seem to be circling us.
Silence the motors. Stop all pumps. Destroyers, eh? Lieutenant Reiner.
Yes, sir.
What depth does the chart show?
Depth? 50 fathoms with gravel bottom, sir. But there's a fault in the ocean bed just east of our position. A crevice, 1,000 feet deep, sir.
We are safely beyond that. Muller, our depth.
200 feet, sir.
Our rate of descent?
10 feet a minute, sir.
But our main tanks are empty, sir. We should be going up, not down.
Nevertheless, we are going down. And as long as we are, we will bottom and lie quiet until the destroyers leave. And we will surface for repairs. Muller.
Yes.
What are the destroyers doing?
They seem to be still circling, sir. Perhaps they are trying to pick us up when they detect us.
We must see that they fail. Our depth?
220 feet, sir. It's almost as if...
As if what?
Nothing, sir.
Go on. As if what?
Excuse me, sir. I was going to say as if something was pulling us down.
But you thought better of saying it. See that you continue to think better of such remarks. Same applies to everyone on board. Lieutenant Reiner.
Yes, sir.
We will bottom in exactly 7 minutes. Prepare to make an inspection of the ship when we do. Well, Lieutenant Reiner?
I have finished the inspection, sir.
And your report?
Everything is in perfect order, sir. There are no leaks. The batteries are fully charged. All motors in working order. All pumps operating.
Then obviously there's no reason why, when we choose to surface, we should not do so.
No, sir.
Muller, what about the bloodhounds who are trying to sniff us out on the surface? Those destroyers.
I have heard no propeller sound for 20 minutes, sir.
Then we will surface. Load the auxiliary tank.
Load the auxiliary tank, sir. All main and auxiliary tanks are empty, sir.
All tanks empty? Captain, your pardon, do you hear? We have blown all our tanks and we have not risen at all.
I am well aware of it, Lieutenant Reiner. You take me for an imbecile?
No, sir. Of course not. It is just that it is impossible, sir.
Since it is so, it must be possible. Obviously, we are stuck in a mud bottom.
But the bottom here is gravel, sir. The chart says so.
The chart is wrong. I say it is mud, do you hear?
Yes, sir. Mud, sir.
So we shall have to use our motors to pull ourselves free. Signal full speed ahead.
Yes, sir. Full speed ahead. They are not moving, sir.
Now what is it? Why have the fools cut the motors?
Excuse me, sir. Engine room reporting. Yes. What is it?
Well, what have the idiots to say for themselves?
They say the propeller is fouled.
Fouled? How could it be fouled? It is impossible for it to become fouled on this bottom.
Yes, sir. They say it is not entirely fouled. It will turn, but only very slowly. As if...
As if what?
Well, sir, they say it turns as if something were holding it, trying to keep it from revolving.
The fools. When we get back to our base, I shall court-martial every man aboard. Perhaps the propeller is tangled with some seaweed. That is all. In that case, we may be able to reverse and free it. Full speed astern.
Full speed astern.
Well, now what?
Your pardon. The engine room reports the propeller is still fouled, sir. It behaves as it did before. It turns, but as if something is holding it back.
And to think that I, Hans Ludwig von Metz, thought I had the finest submarine crew in the world. A brainless pack of idiots who become stuck in the mud on the bottom and they go to pieces like old women. Now listen to me, all of you. The next man who shows...
Captain Metz.
Herr Schmidt. I trust you have not been wise. Everything is quite under control.
In my captain, I've been hearing sounds from outside the submarine.
Sounds? What kind of sounds?
Scratching sounds, tappings on the metal. They sound as if someone is trying to get into the submarine.
My dear Herr Schmidt, you've had nothing except the noises made perhaps by pebbles being swept against our side by the current. That is all.
But I tell you, it sounds like hands rapping and tapping, scraping at our hull, trying to get in. Why are we staying down here on the bottom? Surface at once, you hear me? I order you, surface at once!
That, Your Excellency, is what I am about to do. Now, all respect, may I suggest that you return to your cabin. Your presence here may impede our efforts.
Very well, Captain. But see that you take me to the surface at once.
Have no fears. Lieutenant Reiner, perhaps you will assist Herr Schmidt to his cabin.
Yes, sir. Certainly. If I may open the door for your access.
Captain! Captain Ned!
Well, what is it?
Captain, we hear them too. Sounds coming from outside our hull.
I hear no sounds.
Captain, I can hear them now, quite plainly, on my detector phones. It's not possible to identify them, but they sound as if many people were climbing up our sides and...
There. Perhaps that will bring you to your senses. Listen to me, all of you. Temporarily, we are stuck in the mud. The current is sweeping debris or pebbles against us. You are all acting like children who think they see a ghost in a graveyard. In an hour, we shall be on the surface. You have my word for it. To get free from the mud, I shall fill the bow tanks, then blow them and fill the stern tanks. We shall seesaw ourselves loose. Do you all understand my scheme?
Captain.
Very good. Load the forward ballast tanks.
Load the forward ballast tanks, sir.
Captain Metz.
Yes, Lieutenant Reiner?
The main pumps are again operating, sir. The failure was caused by Hans Jäger.
Jäger? How?
He went crazy, committed suicide by grabbing the poles of the main switch. The short circuit electrocuted him, blew out the fuses.
Jäger was always a fool. How have the others reacted to his death?
Very badly, sir. They are very nervous.
Nervous, are they?
Yes, sir. That scraping and scratching outside our hull has affected them, sir. They stopped for now, but the crew says that it's just because they are planning something else.
They? Who do you mean by they?
The crew says that there are hundreds of men in the water outside trying to get in at us. Dead men, sir.
Lieutenant Reiner, do you wish me to place you under arrest?
No, sir. I'm just trying to explain the state of the mind of the crew, sir. In spite of all our efforts, they are still on the bottom, and the men are getting very jumpy, sir.
I shall have to teach them a lesson they will not forget. They are taking their cue from our illustrious passenger, of course. If he had not come out here with his ranting and raving... Never mind that. He's quiet now. They gave him whiskey with a sedative in it.
Your pardon, Captain. If I may make a suggestion...
Well, what is it?
There is one thing they have not tried.
Huh?
They have to try it, sir. Discharge our torpedoes.
Discharge our torpedoes? A submarine without torpedoes, Lieutenant, is no more use than an airplane without wings.
But we must, sir. We have 10 torpedoes aboard. 25,000 pounds of dead weight. Get rid of that, and we have to rise. We have to.
I see you are beginning to share the hysteria of the crew. When we return to our base, I shall not fail to include that fact in my report. However, I accept your suggestion. Order the discharge of our torpedoes to begin at once.
Yes, sir. At once.
They began discharging our torpedoes. 2, 3, 4. Then the submarine moved, but not upward. To my horror, as I watched the instruments, we began to move downward. 50 feet, 60 feet we slid, as if sliding down a slope on the ocean bottom. After we had fired 6 torpedoes, we were actually 100 feet deeper than we had been. Then the firing stopped. I went forward to find out what was wrong.
It's no use, I tell you, it's no use. We are going down, down.
Yeah, what's going on here? Your man mumbling about. Why we not discharge the rest of the torpedoes?
You know what is going on here, Herr Lieutenant. We have fired 6 torpedoes to lighten ship, and what has happened? We are sinking deeper.
He is right.
Yes, we are going deeper. Our blades will not stand it. We shall be crushed, drowned like rats in a trap.
Hey! We are not going deeper. We have come to a stop already. Even if we should slide a little further, we still have a margin of safety of at least 100 feet. The very fact we have moved proves we are breaking free from the mud.
No, it is not true. We are not stuck in the mud. We are not.
Ratman! No more of that.
No more of that. Why should I? Be quiet. We all know we are not in any much. We all know our tanks are empty and we should have been on the surface long ago. We all know why our propellers will not turn, and we all know why we cannot rise, too. Because we are being held down. We are being held down by 1,000 dead men who are crawling all over us, scratching at our plates, trying to get in. They have come from all over the seven seas just to hold us down, just to see we do not get away. Listen to them. Listen. You can hear them now. Listen.
Ah, what nonsense. Fosman, come to your senses. It's only our planes groaning under pressure.
That is not true. You know better. We all know better. Who dragged us down here to the bottom? Whose hands are keeping our propellers from turning? Whose bodies jammed our diving planes? Whose weight is keeping us on the bottom? The deck.
Fosman, I order you to be quiet.
It is too late for orders. There is only one way we can escape. That is to give the ones outside the man they want. They want our passenger, the one who calls himself Herr Schmidt. We all know who he is, and so do they. And they have come to get him.
Fosman, you are under arrest.
Listen, all of you. Let us get this Herr Schmidt with his funny mustache. Put him in a torpedo tube and send him out to the deck, outside. Let them have him. Then they will let us go free. It is our only hope.
Fosman.
Captain Metz.
I heard your interesting little speech just now. And this is my answer. Does anyone else want the same medicine to bring him to his senses? Then to your stations. Lieutenant Reiner, continue to discharge our torpedoes.
That was 4 hours ago. We have discharged all our torpedoes, and we are still on the bottom. Every few minutes we slip a little closer to the 1,000-foot chasm in the seabed. Very soon, inevitably, we will slip over the edge, right into it. The whole submarine is filled with a great rustling and scratching, as though thousands of hands were clawing at it, tugging at it, pulling it toward that chasm. And the crew truly believes that we are being slowly but surely dragged toward it by the dead. By the thousands of dead who have gathered outside, drawn here by their hatred for our passenger. A hatred which is so great even death cannot quench it. I don't know. Perhaps they are right. Certainly our passenger believes it himself. He's in the next cabin. Captain Metz has locked him in. Perhaps if I hold this microphone into which I'm speaking close to the bulkhead, you can hear him. Governor Metz! Do something! I order you to do something! They're outside! They're throwing at the walls to get at me! Captain, I order you to save me! I order you to! You must! You cannot let me die! Oh, that is enough. It makes an unlovely spectacle our passenger as death approaches. As for me, I have locked myself in the radio room here after sending the radio man away. Though no one can save us, there is still some comfort in knowing that somewhere some human ear is hearing me. At least I do not feel so much alone down here at the bottom of the sea. Another lurch then. It is truly as if many hands were remorselessly pulling us towards our doom. The hands of the dead. Oh, this is a fantastic thought. And yet when one is hated as our illustrious passenger is hated by hundreds of millions of the living and tens of millions of the slain, well, who can tell? I do not know, but I do know this. Just a moment ago, a sharp tapping came on our hull, as if someone was tapping against it with a rock. Oh, you may say it was the submarine sliding over rocks on the bottom. But listen to me, and listen carefully. This is the truth. That tapping was in the international code. It was a message. A message from someone outside our submarine at a depth of 400 feet. But
does it say? I will... another lurch. Now we are sinking fast. In a moment, our hull will cave in like an eggshell. But first, I must tell you the message. I do not ask you to believe me, but the message was this. We are waiting for you, Adolf Hitler. We are waiting...
This is the mysterious traveler again. Is that the true story of the death of the world's archenemy, Adolf Hitler? I do not know, so I cannot tell you. The man who told it to me, perhaps he was joking. Who can say? You must make up your own mind. But it is interesting to think about. Yes, very interesting. It reminds me of another strange story I heard recently. Oh, you're getting off at the next stop. I'm sorry. But perhaps we'll meet again soon. I take this same train every week at this time.
In tonight's story, Death Comes for Adolf Hitler, Tony Barrett played Lieutenant Reiner, Philip Clark played Captain Metz, and Lon Clark played Adolf Hitler. The Mysterious Traveler is written by Bob Arthur and David Cogan, and original music is played by Henry Silverne. The entire production is under the direction of Doc McGregor.
You've been listening to Theater of the Mind. Join us again next Sunday night for more vintage radio drama with The Haunting Hour and The Mysterious Traveler on 104 Chum FM.